my name is Caeser Pink. Thank you for visiting my channel. Today I'd like to talk to you about what's going on in the United States right now. These are unprecedented times. I fear for the future that my daughter will grow up in. And Trump and his followers have made me ashamed to be an American. Now, I remember when I was in high school, we had I think it was a world cultures class, and they wanted to impress on us how bad life was under the dictatorship in the Soviet Union. This would have been late 70s. They told us about police walking the streets and arresting people at will. They said that every citizen must carry his cards, and if the police asked for those cards and they didn't have them, they could be arrested. Often those arrested were taken away to gulags. The justice system was corrupt, and people may disappear forever. So the question I'm asking, what does fascism look like? Right now we have these ICE agents roaming the street with weapons, some in uniform, some in not. They're spreading violence and killing people. There's talk of implementing identification papers that every citizen has to carry, or they could be arrested, they could be hauled off. To me, this looks like we are devolving into fascism. Now, these immigration raids, these are really not about getting illegal immigrants. These are political punishments, political terrorism. The states that have the most immigrants are Florida and Texas. These are not the places where ICE is being sent. It's to Minneapolis, of all places. Now, another irony is that Obama and Biden, they sent back a lot of immigrants, but they didn't use these tactics to do it. They didn't turn the United States into a police state. And the truth is, this is all rooted in bigotry and racism. Trump started his campaign by calling Latino people immigrants, racist, and murderers. And that continues to be how they paint all immigrants. Now, statistically, immigrants are less likely to commit a crime than your average citizen, and certainly less likely than the average angry white nationalist who make up the ranks of not only ICE, but Trump supporters. Now, Trump's favorite target right now is Somalians who live in Minneapolis. He wants to send them all back. He paints them all as criminals, immoral people, suggesting that Muslims are taking over the country to install Sharia law. Now, this is fundamentally racist thinking, where you take a group of people and paint them all with broad strokes like that.
I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. I can say it about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other. And we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage.
The way his mind works is racist. And, you know, the Trump movement is always based in racism. It's based on the fears of conservative white men. A lot of them believe that the only real racism is against white men. They're the most paranoid and whiny group of people you could find. And I say that because I communicate with them all the time. And the horrible things Trump says are echoed by those people, and they take it further. They want to kill the people. They want to kill all liberals. I hear it said all the time. And social media, such as Facebook, these people can say whatever bigoted and racist things they want. And Facebook is okay with it. You can alert them to what's being done, but it doesn't go against their community standards, so they allow it. Now let's look at this shooting of the woman in Minneapolis. First, let's look at the camera from the person who shot her's point of view. Now, he claimed that she was trying to run him over. But look at this footage. She is trying to turn the steering wheel away from him. Now, another fact is that just came out from the coroner. The shot that killed her was the third shot. He was, without question, standing beside her and shooting in the window. So he was in no danger at that point. And then, of course, he famously said, "Fuck you, bitch." Let's watch that video.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad at you. It's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Okay.
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Oh!
The video shows how quickly this encounter escalated. There are roughly 3 seconds between when 37-year-old Renee Good is commanded to get out of her car and when she...
Now let's watch in slow motion as she is trying to turn the steering wheel.
Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
She was not trying to hit that officer. She was trying to avoid him. It's obvious. Now, this is what Kristi Noem had to say about this.
Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem addressing the fatal shooting during a press conference in Texas.
It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly, and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased.
DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin posting a statement on X, echoing Secretary Noem, saying in part, "Today, ICE officers in Minneapolis were conducting targeted operations when rioters began blocking ICE officers, and one of these violent rioters weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over our law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them, an act of domestic terrorism."
Now, this woman is an outright liar. Nobody was attacked. They weren't even showing anger. Let's look at what the woman said.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you.
And even her wife was speaking with an even tone, not threatening in any way. To describe them as terrorists, now that is fascism. That is Big Brother speaking. That is the voice of dictatorship. It's complete bullshit. Now, the other aspect of this is, I think she was fleeing in fear. I don't know if you've ever been confronted by people in uniform with guns who are acting irrationally aggressive. I have. And it's hard to keep your composure. She had these officers around her, and you see the one gets out of his car and comes at her very quickly in a very menacing way, and he's trying to open the door. He's screaming at her, and he appears to be trying to pull her out of the car. Now, I don't think that these guys have any legal right to be doing that. They're not police officers. None of this was in their purview. But let's just look at what happened.
Okay.
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Oh!
Out of the car. Get out of the car.
Now, even that news report claimed she was blocking the road. There was 2 lanes. You could easily have went around her. The road was not blocked. That is incorrect. But the way they come at her and the anger they showed, that would scare somebody and you would want to get out of there. What she did, she was turning the wheel and trying to drive away from the scene. Now, they were not following their own regulations when he got in front of her car. They kind of had her boxed in. But, you know, the attitude of these guys is, I think, the root of the problem. These guys, these ICE agents, they don't have much training. The rumor is that a lot of these people were part of the Jan 6 rioters. But to me, you know, there's a psychological aspect here. To me, these guys look like losers, people with low self-esteem. And now they have this opportunity to wear a uniform, to carry a gun, and be bosses, to push people around, especially people they don't like, gay people, dark-skinned people, people with blue hair is a big target of Trumpers. And if somebody doesn't obey their authority, it pisses them off. I have a gun, I have a uniform, how could you not obey me? Because the mindset of Trumpers is authoritarian. Here's what a quick AI search came up with: the psychology of authoritarianism. And to me, it hits the nail on the head. Authoritarian psychology describes a personality type characterized by strict obedience to authority, rigid adherence to conventional forms. Conventional forms for these guys means straight, white, Christian patriarchy, and aggression towards outgroups or those who defy rules. Core traits include authoritarian submission. Now these guys, they they want obedience to themselves, but they also love to be obedient to a male authority figure. They have blind obedience to Trump. They worship him like a god, like a strong father, an abusive father, and they just have blind. I mean, to me, I find it very weird that people worship any politician, but these people, their cult-like mentality is frightening. The core traits include authoritarian submission, authoritarian aggression, and conventionalism, often linked to rigid thinking, a black and white worldview, and conventionalism. That's sort of a key. Conventionalism is the herd-like mentality. Everybody act the same, behave the same, think the same. And preference for strong hierarchies extending beyond right-wing politics to a general predisposition to power and order. Hierarchical worldview, seeing the world as a strict hierarchy where people are either superior or inferior, leading to dominance over subordinates. Now, I'm not a flag waver. I'm skeptical of patriotism, but I do think we have a responsibility to our own country. And what I value in this country is freedom, and we are losing that. Trump wants to be a dictator. He says it over and over again. He loves dictators like Putin, and he's changing the country at a fundamental level. And now back to these ICE agents storming the car. You know, they remind me of that cartoon character Cartman, who's always yelling, "Obey my authority."
Respect my authority!
You know, that's a satire of the same mindset that these guys have.
Respect my fucking authority!
Now, what's even more disturbing is the support from the public. I mean, not only do most Trump supporters, and I communicate with a lot of them every day, they see no problem with the woman being killed, but they also celebrate it, and they want it to happen more. You know, the other thing happening, well, first Trump took over Venezuela, and now he's talking about taking Greenland. Now this, when I hear about it, it makes me physically ill, and it makes me ashamed to be an American. America should not be an imperialist country. Imperialism makes America the enemy of the world. We don't need to be a bully state. It goes against, people love America for the ideals it stood for, and that is being trampled into the dirt. Nobody believes in that anymore. We have lost our moral authority. Now, imperialism, it is a major part of how nation states work. The stronger ones bully the smaller ones, but you know, it's the same as stealing from your neighbor, taking their house and driving them out. I think imperialism is fundamentally immoral. What right do we have to go take over another country? In the case of Greenland, all that Trump talks about is pressuring Denmark to give it to us or sell it to us, or he's going to take it. But what about the people of Greenland? Don't they have a say in their own country? I find that attitude just as immoral as taking another nation's land, another nation's country. He claims that he wants to do this to fend off Russia and China. with Russia, it's total bullshit, because if he wants to keep Russia in check, he has the perfect opportunity to do it in Ukraine. And he's always been lukewarm in Ukraine. He tries to convince Ukraine to give up territory to Russia. And why? Because Russia is bigger. And China, I don't think they've went to war with another country in the last 50 years. Perhaps I'm wrong, but they do things economically. I would be very shocked if China tried to invade Greenland. But for Trump, I think this is all about his ego. He thinks it'll make him a great president to take over these other countries. He thinks, he just thinks like a dictator and a fascist. He really seems to be a human being with no morals whatsoever. And people who think strength equals right, that's a weak man's version of strength. I don't buy into that at all.
Well, Lucas, I think President Trump's pretty serious about ownership of Greenland. That's the word he's using as part of his legacy. The latest is the idea of the Europeans that they can push back against President Trump. They've had a meeting here in Washington recently. We now have the Danish Prime Minister threatening against an invasion of Greenland. So this is getting serious, and I think what we have to keep in mind, Lucas, the big picture here is our missile defense base, our radar in Greenland, and the fact that we haven't had a good survey of all the minerals that are expected to be there. These are the two things President Trump has been focused on. And so far, this escalation on the rhetoric on the European side, I think, is what's driving President Trump to talk about raising tariffs on countries that don't help.
Now here's some of what was said at the Davos meeting.
Europe has very strong tools now, and we have to use them when we are not respected, and when the rules of the game are not respected, by the way. The anti-coercion mechanism is a powerful instrument, and we should not hesitate to deploy it in today's tough environment.
Canada strongly opposes tariffs over Greenland and calls for focused talks to achieve our shared objectives of security and prosperity in the Arctic.
Where all the nation's leaders get together to talk about world politics. And it's clear that not only has Trump alienated them, he has made them mistrust America. And this isn't good for America. For one, he makes enemies of our allies. America can't go it alone. No country can go it alone. But he's broken all trust with them, and he's made Europe realize that they have to band together and be independent and not trust that America has their back.
I know it, but
Here's a bit of an ambassador talking about why there is no security reason to take over Greenland.
We have full military access. And if we want to put more military in there, we can. We don't have to invade it. If he wants to buy it, that's fine, but I don't see a willing seller right now.
And here is a former NATO Supreme Commander talking about NATO, which Trump has pushed aside and undermined, and how all the protections we need via Greenland are provided for through NATO.
I believe, and I've said it before, that we can do this, everything we need to do to provide the security that we need in Greenland, we can do through cooperation with NATO, with Denmark, and with Greenland. So this is about something more than just Greenland, and I think we all know what that something more is. This is incredibly
And what is it for those who don't know what you're talking about?
Well, I think that there are several things that our president wants for America. One is strategic security, but the other is also the minerals and all of the possibilities for growth and use of the welfare or of the wealth of Greenland.
Anyways, I think these are all serious issues. I think Trump and his people are destroying America and American values. It's a scary time. I urge people to take it seriously. Thank you for visiting my channel. Hope to see you again, hopefully under better circumstances.